Hey, gooddies and besties, welcome back to the channel. Aw, say it isn't so. Did Tamron Hall have an affair with Trump, get knocked up, have AB, and have to sign a non-disclosure agreement? Well, per J.K. Trotter, 8 years ago, in the spring of 2016, reporters in New York City began to hear whispers about a drama unfolding at the Midtown headquarters of NBC. Sources, colleagues, friends, and acquaintances, all of them had heard something about the relationship between Today Show co-host Tamron Hall and presidential candidate Donald Trump. The rumor went like this. In the latter half of 2015, NBC journalists unearthed evidence that Hall and Trump conducted an affair in the years before he declared his candidacy. Some of the evidence indicated that Hall became pregnant by Trump and later got an AB to get rid of it. The whispers appeared to be leaking out of 30 Rockefeller Plaza because NBC officials were unsure of how to address the situation. Eager to scoop a competitor on its own turf, reporters outside of NBC swarmed their sources within the network for information. But they struggled to find a path to publication. Important details were fuzzy or disputed, and sources' knowledge was often third or fourth hand. The gravity of the allegation and the visibility of its subjects provided little margin for error. Any story would require nearly perfect sourcing. No news outlet published a single word about the rumor, but there was in fact some truth to it. According to people familiar with the matter, NBC journalists did indeed investigate Hall and Trump's relationship in the fall of 2015 and found evidence that supported the existence of an affair that led to Hall's pregnancy and subsequent abortion. They had gathered this material as part of a larger reporting project about Trump's past girlfriends. The evidence was compelling enough to continue investigating as Trump's campaign gained steam. However, nothing ever came of the reporting project. NBC never published a story about Trump's ex-girlfriends or his relationship with Hall. Less than 2 weeks after Trump's inauguration, Hall abruptly left the network. These events created a mystery that has never been solved. What exactly happened between Trump, Hall, and NBC? I hope this is not true, but Tamron does have a thing for old white men. She did date Lawrence O'Donnell, allegedly, and look at her husband. Plus, I've been hearing rumors that behind the scenes, she is a certified mean girl and her inner circle is all white girls. So make of that what you will. Her move to MSNBC in 2007 marked a turning point in her career. By 2014, Hall had become an integral part of the NBC family. Donald Trump announced his candidacy for President of the United States. He appeared frequently on the network's news programs, including Today, where he engaged in often contentious interviews with hosts like Matt Lauer and Savannah Guthrie. It was during one of these appearances that Trump and Hall first crossed paths. Their initial interactions were seemingly cordial, even flirtatious, and captured on camera for millions to see. Behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding, one shrouded in secrecy and fueled by whispers of impropriety. A relationship between Trump and Hall began to circulate. Sources, speaking on condition of anonymity, would later claim that what began as a series of seemingly harmless encounters between the two evolved into something more clandestine. Late-night phone calls, secret rendezvous at Trump's properties, and covert meetings arranged through intermediaries became part of the alleged affair, according to insider accounts. Some sources claiming to be privy to private conversations described an infatuation that quickly spiraled into an obsessive and ultimately destructive relationship. On February 9, 2016, Hall conducted a 10-minute-long interview with Trump at a hotel bar in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, where Hall and her NBC colleagues were covering the state's presidential primary. From that interview on March 2nd, anonymous members of the notorious web forum 4chan gained access to the voicemail inbox associated with Trump's personal cell phone number. The 4chan members extracted 35 voicemail messages from Trump's inbox. 4 of the messages were left by Hall. The next day, the anonymous 4chan members provided Gawker with copies of Trump's voicemails. On March 4th, Gawker published 3 of Hall's voicemail messages. In one of the voice messages, Hall tells Trump that she was happy I took your advice and met with someone named Matt. The meeting went well, she said. I celebrated by going to Gucci, and I'm going to use your discount because there's a green dress that's like $3,000, and I need a discount bigger than my discount. In another message, she expresses her disapproval of an unnamed YouTube video with which Trump was apparently associated. I saw the YouTube video today. I wanted to chat with you about it since you know that I'm a huge fan, and I think the world of you, but I think that thing today was not good, not becoming who I think you are as a person, as a statesman. I just thought it was just kind of crummy, she says. The hackers released 4 voicemail messages from Hall. Taken together with her interviews, they suggest an anchor who has 2 relationships with Trump, a friendly personal one and an antagonistic journalistic one. To her credit, Hall's apparent friendship with Trump hasn't stopped her from covering him critically and aggressively. On April 2nd, New York Times columnist Maureen Dowd published an edited interview with Trump in which Dowd asked whether the candidate had been involved as a bachelor with someone who obtained an Abe. Trump refused to answer the question. In an MSNBC interview with Chris Matthews, the formerly pro-choice Trump somehow managed to end up to the right of the National Right to Life Committee when he said that for women but not men, there has to be some form of punishment. Trump quickly recanted and even told CBS's John Dickerson that the laws are set and I think we have to leave it that way. Given his draconian comments sending women back to back alleys, I had to ask, when he was a swinging bachelor in Manhattan, was he ever involved with anyone who had an AB? Such an interesting question, he said. So what's your next question? On November 14th, 6 days after Trump defeated Hillary Clinton, Slate published a story titled, "Do you have information about AB Trump may have paid for? Let us know." On February 1st, 2017, Hall departed both NBC and MSNBC for reasons that neither Hall nor NBC fully explained. Both Page Six and People magazine reported that Hall decided to exit the network after learning her 9 a.m. slot on Today would be replaced by former Fox News host Megyn Kelly. The timing of Hall's departure, just 12 days after Trump's inauguration, drew renewed scrutiny from the reporters who previously investigated her history with Trump. Those reporters hypothesized that if the Hall-Trump NBC rumor were in fact true, some or all of the parties may have agreed to a non-disclosure agreement that constrained them from publicly or privately discussing the other parties. Those reporters acknowledged, however, that such an agreement would be untenable for a news anchor. Indeed, Hall continued to anchor news segments about Trump through the end of her employment at NBC. If an agreement existed, it must have been signed at or very close to the end of her contract at NBC. To test their hypothesis that neither Hall nor Trump would mention the other, the reporters set up systems through Google Alert and LexisNexis to notify them of any article or transcript that mentioned both of their names. On March 17th, A.J. Benza, a former gossip columnist for the New York Daily News, hosted Friday Night Special, a recurring segment on the Los Angeles talk radio station KABC. Benza discussed Trump's nascent presidency, his own fractious friendship with Trump, and the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur, among other subjects. Not longer after the segment started, at 14:33 in the online copy, Benza told his listeners, if you really want to get to Trump, if you want him to make a mistake, this goes out to every reporter out there. Each, let him keep talking. Don't put words in his mouth. Let him talk. He'll hang himself. Trust me, the guy's about to say some crazy stuff. He continued, on the other end of this break, I'm going to tell you a really crazy story I heard about Trump that I know to be true. After taking several listener calls to discuss whether or not the media hates Trump, Benza told the really crazy story. Even though I'm not a practicing journalist, I still get stories. I haven't put this anywhere yet, but it's a hell of a story, and it's a lot more interesting than when Donald Trump didn't shake Angela Merkel's hand. You know, Tamron Hall, my sources who are in and around NBC tell me that there was a big investigation for a while on Trump's girlfriends, who he was with, etc. And what they turned up was Tamron Hall was dating Donald Trump in 2012 when he was married to Melania. He was with Tamron Hall. And apparently there were incriminating emails with I love you on them. She used his discount at Gucci. Interestingly enough, Tamron Hall, who had a great career a couple of weeks ago, left the Today show and walked off the NBC show. The reason they gave was that Megyn Kelly was coming and Tamron felt like she was being pushed away. I don't buy that. I'm thinking more along the lines of, does NBC want to be embarrassed again? NBC feels a little guilty looking back at The Apprentice. They don't want one more piece of embarrassment. I think Tamron kind of walked away before because maybe she was told, listen, this is going to get ugly. We have information. In fact, that story goes deeper, but I'm not going to say what I want to say on this type of show. But you can read between the lines. They were dating, they were doing stuff. Sometimes things happen, and you got to go someplace to take care of things. It's that kind of story. I don't want to say anything more than that. On October 14th, nearly 7 months after A.J. Benza appeared on KABC, someone using the pseudonym Rupert Pupkin summarized what Benza had said about Hall and Trump in a brief post on an online forum operated by Radio Gunk, a weekly podcast about the Howard Stern Show. Under the title, A.J. Benza claims Donald Trump impregnated NBC's Tamron Hall, Pupkin wrote, he asserts that Trump and Melania have an agreement and that he was dating Tamron Hall in 2012 and knocked her up. She was using Trump's discount at stores in Manhattan and was pushed out by the network. Pupkin's post attracted 42 replies from 25 different users, and the post on Radio Gunk marked the first written record on the searchable internet of the rumor concerning Hall, Trump, and NBC. This triggered the Google alerts that reporters had set up for web pages that mentioned both Hall and Trump. thereby renewing another round of inquiry about the rumor. That was a lot. Tamron Hall, you have 30 minutes to respond. Girl, because this thing is starting to spread like wildfire. And it is way too detailed to be all the way wrong. Girl. Trump? I knew I was reading you right, Tamron. Anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment below, like, share, and subscribe so you never miss out on the latest videos and opinions.